Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. We open with the demigod Hercules returning to his homeland in search of his best friend. Theseus is currently having a roll in the hay with somebody else's wife while simultaneously being hunted by mercenaries. Their leader says that the king will pay them big money if they can kill this fornicating son of Zeus. Giocasta saves Theseus from a pair of spears, so he throws her towards a log so that she can throw it to him for a weapon. He then doesn't even use it, as I think he just likes throwing her around, and knocks the assassins from his shagging platform by other means. Pushing the ladder away because falling is faster, Theseus then hurls his woman into a river instead of just saying jump. He then begins walloping mercenaries in with her anyway, so she flees for her life when the archers arrive and Theseus is screwed. Just then Hercules shows up and hurls a cart, obliterating the shed and causing all of the failed assassins to flee in awe. Theseus begins to talk with his friend about Herc's wife, which reminds him that the throwing girl is still here. Joe begins kissing buttons and asks when Theseus is going to get married like his friend, but he says when he meets the right woman. Herc thinks, "Thank dad my relationship isn't like this," then goes home and finds his wife Deianira completely fruity for loops. Someone has removed all of Dai's memories and she doesn't even recognize Hercules, so the quest giver Keros spawns in. He says that he will give Herc information at his home tonight where the walls are thick and nobody can hear them speak. And he wasn't lying, those are some pretty thick walls. However, Keros has been murdered because nobody outside could hear him screaming. Meanwhile, Il Mercenario grovels to King Lico, having failed the assassination, but the Dark Lord is like, "Nah, you're fine." He says, "Here, take this suspiciously laid out treasure as a reward for doing nothing," but psych, he's walked into the manual trap of instant death. Lico doesn't actually have any powers and does the bidding of an evil god who speaks through a statue in the crypt beneath the city. He's been told that if he drinks the blood of Hercules' wife during the next eclipse he will gain immortality, but he isn't a vampire. That's why he gave her some of the forget-me juice, so that the immortal husband must go on a long distracting adventure to try find the cure. I'm not sure why he murdered poor Keros, but he pretends to give a crap and tells Hercules to visit the oracle for help. Medea gives our hero a long list of things to do with the end goal of collecting a remembering stone from the underworld. At least there's nothing vague or cryptic with her orders, but first the demigod must give up his immortality or else it would be no fun. He then searches for Theseus when he finds this weirdo Telemachus blocking the path and just tosses him out of the way. This guy is Giocasta's husband and was watching guard to make sure that nobody but Theseus bangs his missus behind the stump. When he hears the word adventure, Theseus leaps up and says he was getting bored of throwing this girl around anyway. Telemachus claims to know a bloke with a ship they can borrow, but soon straps him between 4 horses for stalking his wife. There's something weird going on with this guy and wives, but before he's ripped in half, Hercules leaps down and restrains the horses. Theseus deals with Sunis down on the beach, but when he gets disarmed knocks him out with a good old-fashioned dropkick. He then cuts the ropes and they save Tele before he joins them in sailing towards the underworld, whether he wants to or not. First they need to find a golden apple that will allow them to return from the underworld, so it's kind of important to get before going. They sail towards the blood-red sky that makes mortal men sleepy, and right as the 3 pass out, a wave capsizes their ship. They wash up on an island where women have been cursed to live in darkness, but apparently colorful mood lighting was a loophole. Queen Aretusa says the rumors about them eating people aren't true, but nobody asked, so now we're all thinking it. She says that Hercules can take her most holiest of holies, but is speaking about the golden apple stuck up her tree. It's so tall that Herc ascends until the sky begins raining down fire on him, so climbs all the way back down like screw that. He instead takes a large rock and some horses' reins to make the biggest sling these women have ever seen, but they don't even get back. They just watch as Herc blindly hurls the boulder into the tree, knocking down the apple and hopefully not getting crushed on the return.
Where's Theseus?
The sun comes out and Aretusa says they're now free of the curse, but part of that is because they sacrificed Theseus to a demon. Hercules is like, "What the hell are you talking about? You said he was trying to pick up women in the grotto of procrastination." While doing just that, he and Tele lay down on some stone slabs like this is a massage parlor when a rocky horror enters called Procrustes. Theseus tries to protect them, but his sword shatters on the crusty demon that somehow catches and ties them both up. It plans to stretch Theseus to fit his slab and chop off Tele's legs to fit the other when Hercules arrives to save the day. He throws the 10-ton demon at a loosely fitted wall, and just like that it's defeated and we have an entrance to the underworld. Theseus accompanies Hercules in searching for his wife's memories while leaving Tele behind to watch the boat and guard the apple. The two come across a woman chained to a tree that is obviously a trap, but even Herc struggles to hold back this hornball. Fortunately, she spontaneously combusts before Theseus does, so they can continue their journey once he puts it away. They come across a lake of lava with the stone situated in the middle, so both the brains and the bronze comes up with an idea. He uses some of Hell's bleeding vines and a standard rock because everything can be solved by just lobbing a boulder at it. We now have a rope to climb across and grab the stone, but Hercules didn't account for Theseus having those stringy little arms. Unable to hold on to a basic rope shimmy, he falls into the strange-looking lava and presumably feels some excruciating pain. But since we're already in the underworld, he just appears a small distance away with the goddess of vegetables, Persephone. She says that he must go before her father Pluto finds them, but Theseus says he will never leave this random beautiful woman. He kidnaps the god's daughter because she's such a babe and goes looking for Hercules, who mourned his loss for all of about 2 seconds.
Forgive me, Theseus.
Upon trying to retrieve the stone, it causes Herc to dance, so he brainstorms what might work and of course lands on punching it. He returns to Telly when Theseus strolls up like, "Yeah, I'm smuggling a woman out of hell and none of you guys can stop me."
Pluto.
They board the boat and sail back to Italy, but Pluto sends a storm to capsize the ship and prevent his daughter from escaping. She tells Theseus to throw the apple into the ocean and the storm calms down, but a flabbergasted Hercules says, "How did you know that?" A gentleman never tells and just smuggles his new woman into the city that suddenly falls under plague, blight, drought, famine, all that good stuff. Persephone says that Pluto is angry that she left the underworld and will keep doing this until she returns, which would have been nicer to know sooner. It's too late, however, because Theseus will take on anyone to defend Perse so long as they aren't made of rocks or need a rope to reach. Meanwhile, Hercules returns Deianira's memories, but her name literally translates to destroyer of husbands, so the crap never ends. Lico enters and says that Herc must go on another adventure to stop Pluto's plague, but first must speak with the oracle. The moment the big guy is out of the building, however, King Lico kills the maid and reveals that he really just wanted to get Deianira alone. She runs to her room and locks the door, but Lico emerges from a secret entrance and walks towards her very slowly. Deianira whips out the stone of memory but just ends up melting her own brain again and gets herself kidnapped much easier. Meanwhile, Hercules is told by the oracle that everything is Persephone's fault and that he must convince Theseus to send her back to hell.
Look at him.
He goes to his friend and says that the hanky-panky must end, but Theseus gets angry and knocks over that cup he never liked. Challenging Hercules to a duel, we immediately cut to him about to chop off Theseus's head, but Persephone intervenes.
You must not.
She says that their love has run its course anyway and volunteers to return to the underworld, but also that Herc's wife is in danger.
In danger? What are you trying to tell me?
He runs off to save her while Persephone leaves Theseus an unconscious kiss, then dabs herself out of the movie. By the time Herc arrives home, everybody is mourning the dead maid, but he has a wife to find and a king to kill. He knocks down the doors to the throne room and chases Lico through the crypt, but Herc is ambushed by the army of the dead. While he stands there for 5 minutes letting them resurrect around him, Lico exits the other side of the cave and places the sacrifice on the altar. He begins chanting to the eclipse while Hercules gets all kinds of nasties swooping down and jumping out at him. The spirits of the damned and extras in tissue paper fail to penetrate those demigod muscles as Herc just throws them off. Walls begin to close in, but he manages to scoot his glutes out of the cave before it crushes him and makes it to his wife just in time. Herc ragdolls this man like Theseus does to women, but Lico keeps coming back for more and for some reason is super strong. We'll chalk it up to the eclipse, but just as he's about to defeat Herc, the demigod scratches Lico's face like a punch wouldn't work. He then picks up a perfectly Lico-shaped rock and squishes him with it because we know how much Herc likes throwing those rocks. To remind you, he then spends the next minute 40 throwing about 10 of these suckers at undead hordes until the eclipse passes. When the sun comes out, all of the spirits disappear and Lico spontaneously combusts, though still wasn't a vampire.
Oh God!
The next day, Theseus plays in the sand like a child and has no memories of his relationship with Persephone, just a hole in his heart. It's filled by Giocasta as he steals her from Telemachus again just when he thought the demigods had found other women. Hercules has presumably returned Deianira's memories after her second brain melted while Telly hurls himself into the ocean out of depression. And the movie ends.